It could have been the year 1890, but actually it was 1990 in a little town called Raton, New Mexico. We were at a powwow that year, and this young man, he was a blacksmith that struck stars from steel bars and made them shine as if they were 4th of July pinwheels in the midnight sky. I went to his blanket that laid upon the ground, and there were many good knives. And you know how Indians like good knives. I seen 2 bear-jaw knives. One was Damascus, the other was just plain. But it was strange because it shined blue in the morning sun. I looked at the knives and I asked the gentleman, "How much are your knives?" He said, "That knife that you're looking at, that you wish to buy, it is $1,200. I knew that I did not have $1,200 to pay for my knife. So I told him the story of John Emula, who was a good friend. I told him about how he was to go to Sundance, how he was to take a knife that had never been used before, to take flesh at the pole and to pierce his chest and the back of his legs, to drag to Tonka. It was Bear Butte where he would go that day to give flesh at the pole. I told him how he belonged to the Bear Clan and that he must have a bear-jaw knife that no other would do. Nothing much was said then. I walked back to my teepee and I went inside to eat my lunch that afternoon. And as I was eating, the young man came by and he struck my teepee lodgepole. And like a voice of thunder out of the clear blue sky, his words broke my ears. "Mato, are you in there?" I bid him enter. I offered him meat and bread and cheese that day to sit and tell stories. As I sat there and he sat next to me, he said to me again, "Tell me the story of this friend of yours, who he is and where he goes to give flesh at the pole." I told him John was a good friend, that he would come to the house and skin teepee poles with me. And then he would take them and sell them to his people. Little did I know how many poles he sold, because we were good friends and I did not count. And I told him that he needed a virgin knife, one that had never been used before. But it had to be a bear-jaw knife, and that he was to take flesh at the pole with this knife. Now Sitting Bull, he gave 100 pieces of flesh from his very arms one day, long ago. This is a great honorable thing to do, because they ask me, why would a man take flesh from his body? I said, you do not understand. It is what we say to the grandfathers, Tonka Sheila. What can we give to him that is more sacred to us than all the things that we have, if it is not our body? For you see, Tonka Sheila and Inamaka has given us everything that we have. So we give back every July. to thank the great spirits for the gift of life. Nothing more was said. The young man reached behind him now, and he took out this Damascus bear-jaw knife and laid it on top of my cooler. He said, "Take this to your bear dancing friend." I knew I could not pay this man for this knife. I told him, "I have nothing to give to you. Take your knife, please." He told me, "You have already given me something, Mato. You have given me a story of one man's journey to give flesh at the pole." I reached out with my arms to open so that I may grab this man that pounded stars from steel bars and made them shine like 4th of July pinwheels late in the morning in the evening sky. But he would not take my hand. He reached around me like a great bear and hugged me. I turned and I looked into the mussel shell as the sun set below us. And there on the mussel shell, was a effigy of Mato, the great grizzly bear. Tears filled my eyes as we departed, and I called out to him, "I know that you have a thing that is called 5 seconds to hammer a weld when you pound steel. You have forged a friendship this day, my friend. No longer will I call you by your name, but from this time on, I shall call you Hankapa Mato Lilawashte." That was the story of the Valley of the Bear in Raton, New Mexico, on July 17th, 1990. Good powwow. I took the knife now to John Emula, and John told me, "Mato, I cannot take this knife, for you see, it must come from a full blood, and you are a breed." I was not angered with John, but I was saddened by his words. So I took the knife back to my friend, and I told him what happened, and I laid the knife on the counter, and he went to the counter and picked another knife out of there, the one I had seen before that shined blue in the morning sun. He took the knife and he laid it on the counter next to the bear jaw knife, and he said to me, "Mato, choose." My eyes filled with tears again, because I knew I could not pay for either one of these knives. I told him no. He told me, "You have given me something, and in tradition of your people, when you get a gift, you return a gift. I want you to choose. And if you did not choose, I will place that knife on the anvil and shatter it into 1,000,000 pieces." I told him, "You cannot do that. It is too beautiful of a knife to destroy." When I chose the knife, he told me, "Mato, the Damascus blade is beautiful, but you chose the best knife." And I said to him, "How is that?" He says, "There's a little bit of heaven and a little bit of hell in that knife." "What do you mean, a little bit of heaven and a little bit of hell?" He says, "I forged a shooting star in that blade, and that's why it shines blue when you take it into the sunlight." I still miss him, and I remember him each time I put my knife on my waist. I will never forget this man that gave me that great knife that day. That knife that I carry now each day, I look at it and I say to the knife, "Grandfather, you are with me at all times on my side. Thank you." And that is a story that I tell of my friend, Hunkapa Mato, which they